What's that?
Thank you and welcome to the Monday, June 2nd, 2025 Township of Narren-Hyman Council meeting. And we declare it open for business. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Yes, there are. Trevor McVeigh in item 4A on June 2nd, 2025. I am the council agenda. I'm making this declaration because I'm a volunteer firefighter. I confirm that I will not vote on the matter. I will not take part in the discussion on any question. In respect of the matter, I will not attempt in any way, whether before, during, or after the meeting, to influence the voting on any such question. I, Wayne Austin, declare pecuniary interest in item 4A on June 2nd, 2025. I am making this declaration because a relative is involved and I confirm that I will not vote on the matter. I will not take part in discussion on any question in respect of the matter. I will not attempt in any way, whether before, during, or after the meeting, to influence the voting on any such question. And I, Wayne Austin, declare pecuniary interest in item 7D on June 2nd, 2025 council agenda. I'm making this declaration because there is a relative involved. I confirm that I will not vote on the matter. I will not take part in discussion on any question in respect of the matter. I will not attempt in any way, whether before, during, or after the meeting, to influence the voting on any such question. I, Amy Macy, declare a pecuniary interest in item 4A on June 2nd, 2025 council agenda. I'm making this declaration because I'm a volunteer firefighter. I confirm that I will not vote on the matter. I will not take part in the discussion on any question in respect of the matter. I will not attempt in any way, whether before, during, or after the meeting, to influence the voting on any such question. So there we go. And then we have our delegations, Jasmine Shad, our asset management manager advisor, the PSD citywide. Hi, Jasmine.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Shall I present my screen or is there the presentation going over there?
I can put it up on my screen or you can share it. It's completely up to you.
Oh, okay, I'll share it just for ease of the presentation. Let me know if you can see it, please.
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, well, good afternoon, council members and township staff. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jasmine Shad, and I'm an asset management advisor with PSD Citywide. And I've been working closely with Belinda to support the development of the 2025 Asset Management Plan. So I'm here today to talk to you about a key component of the plan and recommend a path forward. So today I'll just start off with a brief regulatory context before I get into the 2025 component, and then I'll end off with any questions if there are any today. Okay, so for regulatory context, as I'm sure you're all very well aware, back in 2015, the Ontario government introduced the Infrastructure for Jobs and Prosperity Act, which included Regulation 588-17. So this regulation requires municipalities in Ontario to create asset management policies and plans by 2025, with the complexity of the plans increasing over time. So as I mentioned, we've been working to develop an AMP that meets those requirements outlined in the regulation. So for 2025, municipalities are to develop asset management plans complete with the state of the infrastructure for all assets, as well as the options for proposed levels of service and the life cycle costs associated with those options. Also required for this year is an analysis of growth impacts and a complete financial strategy. So very similar to the previous asset management plans that have been developed, aside from the proposed levels of service or service level targets, which is a new part of the requirements for this year. Okay, so for levels of service, just a super brief overview. Essentially, municipal governments exist to deliver services to the community. So these services depend on infrastructure, the systems that support everything from public safety to daily operations. So when we talk about levels of service, we're talking about how well the services are being delivered. So your current levels of service describe the quality of service residents are receiving today, and your proposed levels of service or your service level targets reflect the township's commitment to what residents can expect to receive in the future. Setting levels of service is all about making sure community needs are met both now and over the long term. Okay, so adjusting service levels is a very strategic direction or decision that shapes how well infrastructure is maintained and renewed over time. So these changes to service levels will directly influence life cycle strategies, the timing of your investments to infrastructure, and the long-term sustainability or performance of your assets. Ultimately, the objective here is to find the right balance between cost and performance and risk exposure to ensure responsible and effective management of your assets. Okay, so at existing funding levels, the township is currently meeting 25.4% of its annual capital requirements for the infrastructure assets that we analyzed. So this means that only a quarter of the capital investment required each year is being funded through current taxation, along with your water rates and your OCIF funding, your OMPF funding, and your CCBF funding. So that one would be formerly the gas tax. So the remaining gap there represents deferred investment, which can lead to an increased risk of service disruptions, accelerated asset deterioration, and higher long-term costs due to emergency repairs or early replacements. Okay, when talking about the infrastructure deficit, the township requires about $1.6 million annually to fully fund those capital needs. However, current funding totals 412,000, leaving a funding shortfall of approximately $1.2 million each year. It is important to note that this level of underfunding is not unique. Similar funding constraints are very common across many municipalities in Ontario, particularly in small and rural communities with limited tax and rate bases. So addressing this kind of a gap through a phased and sustainable funding plan or strategy is very critical to supporting your current service levels. So to support the development of the proposed levels of service scenarios or options that we've put together, a systematic modeling approach was leveraged using our citywide system. So this process involves simulating the future performance and risk of municipal infrastructure under varying levels of capital investment. The modeling framework incorporates your asset inventory data combined with defined deterioration curves, life cycle strategies, and your risk profiles for each asset type. So using this information, we assessed how different funding strategies would affect overall asset condition and your risk exposure over time. As you might expect, increased funding levels result in improved projected asset conditions and reduced risk over time. So the graph that you see here, along with the detailed proposed levels of service report, illustrates that higher funding scenarios do help to maintain better overall asset condition. So for this year's AMP, we've modeled 3 different funding scenarios. Each of them are based on a 15-year planning horizon. So in scenario 1, the goal is to achieve full funding. So this would require a phased tax increase of about 4.7% per year and 5.2% annually for water rates. This scenario puts the township on track to close the infrastructure funding gap entirely by the end of the 15 years. Scenario 2, we aim for 75% funding over the exact same period, so 15 years. This would mean a 3.4% annual tax increase and around 4.2% per year for water rates. Now, finally, scenario 3, this targets 50% funding. So under this option, annual tax increases would be limited to about 1.8%, with water rates increasing by approximately 3.0% each year. So these three scenarios provide a range of options to support that informed decision-making around the township's long-term service delivery goals. So we'll analyze these briefly just a little further. Each funding scenario obviously has different trade-offs between affordability, risk, and performance of your assets. So the full funding scenario requires the greatest investment, but it also offers the highest level of service reliability and sustainability, which would support your timely repairs and your strategic upgrades of assets. The 75% funding scenario represents a more balanced approach, so maintaining most service levels while limiting the financial burden on residents. But it's important to note that some capital projects might still heavily rely on that external grant opportunities. Now, the 50% funding scenario requires the most minimal increases, but it also carries the most significant risks, which include deferred maintenance or replacements, which would increase your current infrastructure backlog, and an increased likelihood of service disruptions. Okay, so the recommended funding scenario for Narden-Hyman aims to reach 75% funding within 15 years, and that's designed to strike that balance between reliable service delivery and long-term financial sustainability. So this would require, again, phased in increases of 3.4% for taxation and 4.2% for water rates over 15 years. So this option reflects the township's small tax and rate base and ongoing focus on affordability. These increases would phase in funding to support capital infrastructure needs only, and any inflationary or operational cost increases would be in addition to these amounts. So this approach supports a manageable pace for scaling staff capacity and delivering capital projects while also reducing your reliance on external grants. This approach does not fully close the funding gap, so the township can supplement with non-sustainable revenue sources, such as one-time grants and transfers from reserves. And this would especially be important during the phase-in period before you reach that 75% funding level within 15 years. So by addressing infrastructure needs proactively, this scenario does help to control the risk of future tax and rate spikes, promoting greater stability for residents and long-term financial resilience for the township. So just a few key takeaways and next steps. Achieving that 75% funding level in 15 years is the recommended approach. Obviously, full funding is always the most ideal situation, but it's not always the most feasible. So we are currently working on finalizing the 2025 asset management plan, and the financial strategy associated with that plan will align with the scenario that is selected by the township. So I just ask that you please review the detailed proposed levels of service report and just confirm which scenario you believe is the most feasible and the most appropriate for the township to pursue. You can please provide any input or comments that you have to Belinda, and then she can pass it along to me. And just one more note, whichever scenario is chosen by the township, you still would be encouraged to periodically review that funding strategy just to ensure that it continues to meet those long-term asset needs and community expectations. And that's all I have, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Anyone, you don't have any questions, Counselor McVeigh? Counselor Richter?
Oh, no. I just want to mention that this is a really terrible time for somebody new to come onto council and have to make these decisions.
It feels like that all the time.
Oh, yeah, but this is
It's
a
a lot.
Yeah.
Counselor McDonald? No questions?
Yeah, I got just a comment, I guess, more than anything. Looking at what this is telling us at 3.5, we would have to raise our taxes to approximately 7%
Yeah.
to stay in line, which isn't very good.
Yeah, because this is only capital. It doesn't include inflation or operational costs. So the amounts, we've consistently raised taxes for the last 3 years. And the previous year as well, I think that it was, I have it
I
somewhere.
believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I
Just to
believe
keep
the
up with
last
the
4
cost of living.
years. Well, or I have the last 3 years here for sure. So then if you're adding in 3.4%, that's a pretty big. So that
Have you-
was just a call.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to ask, have your calculations taken into account any capital needs, or has it been strictly just operational and inflation?
Well, that's a good question. I see Ketchabah, what do you think? I think there have been some capital issues, but what do you think?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Each budget we pass each year is unique. But, I would say mostly what our tax increases is just a reactionary to inflation rising costs. But we have, over the last 2 years, 3 years, done some big significant capital work. However, most of those were funded through grants. I believe it was just the McDonald Street project that, and Sand Bay project last year that was not completely covered by grants.
Right. Yeah, it's very hard to calculate all of that in, but if you have made increases and have noticed increases to capital funding in the last few years since raising your taxation and your rates, then it can be calculated out to be less than 3.4%. It is definitely a guideline, and when you get up to that 7-8% mark per year, it's much less feasible, I would say, that residents would appreciate that. So it is something to take into consideration. But again, review the plan in detail and let me know what you think is most appropriate and feasible for the township.
Did you have another, did
No,
that
just,
answer your comment?
I was commenting on is, most of our citizens are retired in this community, and a 7% tax hike would not go over very good.
And we're not talking once, we're talking
Every year
annually.
for 15 years.
Yeah, every year. That's a lot of money. Yeah, my question is, how much of this is accurate or reliable? I mean, the scope of this work, it just seems like there would have to be a lot of estimates.
Oh, 100%. And we always do mention that our projections are only as accurate as the data that we have to analyze, right? So it would highly depend on the accuracy of your current inventory of infrastructure assets. It seems like Belinda has done a really good job at updating current assets, but it's always wise to annually or biannually go through and make sure that any disposed of or decommissioned assets are fully disposed of within the system so that their projections aren't taken into account in that annual requirement that we're increasing taxation and rates by.
So what's an example of that?
For example, if like if you had a road that was maybe taken over by the county, or something similar, or a building that was like a historical building that was decommissioned and I don't know, bulldozed, I guess, and you didn't have to worry about replacing it anymore. If that system remains in the inventory, that would still be taken into our calculations for, hey, you need to save $25,000 a year to plan for its replacement down the line. And that's where our projections can be off.
So this process cost us $40,000. I just want our residents to know that, the 20 this year, 20 last year. Like, why do you think the government mandated us to do that, to spend this? Is everybody asking that question?
Mostly, a lot of townships and municipalities I work with have come to their own conclusion. It was my company's hope that, like the OCIF funding, that is available after the province reviewed the major deficits of every township and municipality, because almost everyone has a deficit, that there might be a new grant opportunity, that was kind of sparked from this process. However, on the other side of the coin, a lot of people have turned to the conclusion that, it might be a way for, the government to force municipalities into justifying the grants that they are receiving, for whatever their motivation may be. We're not sure. So there might be something good that comes out of this. In my personal opinion, asset management is a very invaluable resource. Unfortunately, a lot of townships don't have the resources to fully invest in the proper asset management practices and standards. So that is very unfortunate. But as long as it gets people thinking about, the infrastructure that is aging and the replacements that will be needed down the line, then we can work proactively to at least maintain service levels in the future. So it really is up to interpretation, I believe.
So you've recommended us raising taxes at certain levels, and we have to vote at that later. I think, in 7B, we need to we should make a decision. It's not the end of the world if we don't decide today, but we should try to. So you've recommended we've raised taxes, but is the plan really specific that when you looked at assets, you could, let's say assess that we need a new fire truck in a certain year and we need to replace the roof on, so did it get that specific?
Well, I can pull those reports. So it is based on the estimated useful life that you enter financially for your assets. There are some profiles where I have overridden, that estimated useful life to be more accurate. So it does place everything, like plots every asset that you have on that timeline for scheduled replacement. I will say within our software, there are multiple processes that can make it more accurate. Again, that's where we come into the issue of not having enough resources within the township to implement those practices. Say those targeted condition assessments, if they were entered into the system, for example, it would be able to override that age-based condition that's saying, hey, your vehicle that's 9 years old, it's scheduled for replacement on the 10th year. However, if it's a vehicle with very low mileage and very low use, and a condition assessment was available saying it is in good condition, it would not get scheduled on that forecasted replacement, schedule for that 10th year. It might be pushed out by 3 years or 4 years, for example. So again, we are working with the best data that we have available. But again, there are always gaps within our models. If there is areas where, we could have more accurate data.
Does anyone have any more comments or questions? Councilor Richter?
I'd like to mention that, previous council and CAO Ketchiba have done a great job in trying to build up reserves to meet these needs. But that it's fairly obvious that we've had modest increases in taxes and not sufficient to meet asset replacement plans, as this thing shows. So you can continue to defer costs, but the repairs are gonna come whether we want them to or not. And if we want to keep the level of service, you're gonna have to pay for it somehow, and notwithstanding, it's terrible. But the reserves aren't gonna be able to meet the needs, clearly.
Well, are there any more comments for Ms. Shad? We'll discuss it later on, 7B. Anything else?
No,
Thank you so much. We didn't
Thank
like what you
you.
had to say, but thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. Have a
You
good
delivered
night.
Bad news, but thank you. No, we appreciate your effort.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. And then next we have, Mr. Richard Walker, who is coming to speak to us.
Well, you know, of course, I'll stand up and I'll really speak to it. It'll be.
Okay. Hope you don't have to tell us we need to raise taxes.
No, but hopefully we can help. I mean, there's a conversation there, we haven't been assessed yet. And that'll be, I won't talk explicitly about it, but certainly, you know, at some point. There's some taxes coming in there. I'll talk about, fairly informal, as we can see. Any questions, just, you know, just sort of raise your hand. A quick agenda, Belinda, just to sort of guide our thoughts here tonight. I'd like to talk about where we're at. So we'll discuss a couple of specific assets out there, a detonator plant, explosive magazine area, an emulsion plant. Talk about our rail spur project, and then talk about some future expansion. Three things there: Hypex bio plant, new highway site access, which is, we'll spend some time talking about that, as well as a truck shop and office expansion. Go ahead, Brenda. So there's, you have a copy. There essentially is the overview of the site. Immediately to the west is the detonator facility. So where are we at? This has been going on for a few years. We're being inspected this week by the ERD, the Explosive Regulatory Division. So they're in there this week. We do not have approval to sell detonators from that facility yet. We've passed, I'm gonna say about 3 to 4 weeks ago, we passed the final test that was required. So we manufactured detonators in that facility, submitted them to Ottawa. They've done testing on them, and we passed that testing about 3 or 4 weeks ago. They told us to expect about a month before they authorize the product, which would allow us to sell to third party in Canada. We've been trialing that, so that facility is owned by our group. The equipment in that facility is owned by our partner out of Africa, BME. As an owner in that, we've met BME, the joint venture company, that it's a 50-50, has been manufacturing detonators. Consbec has been trialing detonators in some of our jobs to try and work out bugs and everything else to make sure that we're happy with the product that hopefully we're gonna be selling to third party. So it's our expectation, so while we don't have authorization to sell those debts to third party yet, we believe we're close. That's only one of the deadlines. There are 2 types of detonators that were manufactured in that. One is, the first one I'm talking about is called non-ELS, non-electric. So anyone might have heard that over the years. They're called non-electric detonators. We have another line in there. The next slide will show you a bit of a photograph on that. Or the next one, but yeah, so essentially the photograph on the left, this is so it's an automated line. This is for assembling electronic detonators. Young kids would say they're programmable. Essentially, you can put in a specific time that you want for these detonators. The line on the right is the non-L line that we're talking about. Those are the detonators that we believe we're gonna have, that authorization is imminent, and we'll be able to start manufacturing product. We have manufactured with that line, mostly just for trials. So that's where we're at. Everything looks clean, it's brand new, it's fairly idle. We have people trained and sort of don't want to lose people, a number of them some who live in this community. We have probably 12 people employed direct right now, not including construction. Construction is ongoing out there, and there continues to be construction out on site. That varies anywhere from 5 to 20 people, depending on what's going on. So we're getting close. Well, if you go back to the previous, the large site, there's the photographs, if you will, of the exterior. For those that, many people haven't been in there, it's no one's really allowed in there because it's an explosive facility. That's an aerial photograph, and then you can see just a side profile of that facility. It's 21,000 square feet. You saw a lot of vacant space in there. It's certainly our hope to be able to expand, and we made the building larger than required to be able to add additional lines. We thought, let's do this up front rather than coming back and piecemealing and adding on. So it's quite large, and we believe we have enough space to add 2 additional lines of each. It's still our expectation, our hope to sell in Canada and export. We'd like to export to the US. I don't know what Trump has done to that yet. Like everybody else, but we're uncertain. Now, we do believe we can still compete and ship to the US even with the tariff, because the US there's 1 detonator plant in the US and its capacity is minimal. So this is the 2nd detonator plant in Canada, the first one in 35 years. The balance of plants that service the explosive industry are all in Mexico. So Trump's gonna add tariffs all over the place to Canada and to Mexico. It's a level playing field. Cost of business in the US and cost of the product in the US is gonna go on. So we're still quite hopeful. Now, if you can go back there, Linda. No, it's all good.
Oh, there's a bit of a lag, sorry. There we go.
We have, there are magazines, so if someone were to drive in, there's a gate on both the west end and the east end. I think the gate is down right about here. So our group owned the property here that was acquired off the Crown, I think 5 years ago. The process was initiated in 2010. We recently acquired this property highlighted in, let me call it an off brown, if you will, from John Tar. And we have an application in with the Crown for additional Crown land. You can see here highlighted in green. I'll talk about those processes here shortly. There's an emulsion facility. And there's an aerial a little later that shows you sort of where we're at in this. This is a road showing where we have located magazines to store various products. And I'll talk, as we move on, I'll talk a little bit about, this is more of a future expansion. And this is future as well. Okay, we can move on. Yeah. There's an emulsion facility. So this is an emulsion plant. When we first began dealing with Nairn years ago, everything was going to be mobile. And because it was going to be mobile, there was concern at the time about, once it became operational, there was concern about, because it's mobile, there's no assessment. How can we ever get taxes to help in the community? And there was at the time, there was a deal or an agreement that came up, and it was $18,000 a year. Once we started that production, it was $18,000 a year. No one knew or still knows. I certainly believe, let me take a step back. It is no longer, this unit here, as you can see, the detonator plant is not mobile, it's fixed. It has not been assessed yet. We're certainly hoping this year that there's an assessment. We'd like to obviously get going. The township would like to get some taxes. You put a roof over the emulsion plant, and it is still mobile, but it's there. We put a roof over it. There are 2 buildings for a subsequent, this is another emulsion plant for our joint venture partner for the underground market. There are 2 buildings there. They haven't been assessed yet. We'll talk about some of the challenges of where we're at and why have they not been assessed yet. One, they're just becoming operational, if you will. But we have some, I guess, permitting issues that we're working on, and I'll give you a bit of an update where that's at. This isn't another 24 months out. It's gonna, we expect or anticipate it to get resolved by the end of the year. The access and a few other things, but we'll talk about that, and you'll have some questions. Again, at any point, let me know and I'll try to address them. Go ahead. There was a rail project. How do we compete? To avoid trucking, we'd like to rail. We've been Prior to this, our group was railing product into Webwood, into the siding in Webwood. We would truck it across to Hager, manufacture, take it from Hager to Hanmer, manufacture, and then out to our projects. So now we're just about the point where products are gonna be brought in here, manufactured and distributed to sites from this location. So all of our pumper trucks that are sitting in Hanmer and Hager are in the process of moving our magazines out there. It hasn't happened yet. Our trucks are moving our truck fleet out there, so it becomes more central. This is gonna be our home, if you will, for our operations. That was completed, that was initiated, started last summer, it was completed. I'm gonna say end of September, October, when the rail was completed. Yeah. Again, this is the aerial line. The rail line comes up into here. This here location is where we're gonna be placing, they're not there yet, where we'll be placing storage magazines. And this is an example of one storage magazine that is on site. It's over close, we put it there so you can see what it's gonna look like. It's just a metal building. And a crane drops it off, we store product in it. There is one on the site near the detonator plant. So when we were doing our test or our initial manufacturing of debts for submittal to Ottawa and for trials through Conspec, we had to store raw materials and finished products. So there's raw materials and finished product there in that magazine. This is Domtar. So what is it? Why do we need land? We have our group owned probably 800 to 850 acres of land. Because, oh my God. The challenge that any explosive manufacturer has is setback distances that we require from one process to another. Those distances are established by Natural Resources Canada in a division called ERD, Explosive Regulatory Division. Again, they're the people that are out inspecting this week. They've been out there several times, get out a couple times a year. How you may know with construction, are you building according to plan, so on and so forth. They establish these guidelines, and it dictates that we have to be a certain distance to the highway, certain distance from the detonator plant to the emulsion plant. Why? Should there ever be a detonation, they want enough distances to ensure no fatalities. That's the philosophy behind it. There are long-standing rules and guidelines, and we follow them like anyone else in the explosive industry. As a result of that, though, as an example, the emulsion facility out there would require, I don't know, 900 or 1,000 meters, a kilometer to the highway. We'd like to add a truck shop out there and add more jobs out there. It has to be a kilometer from where the explosive operations are. That's a lot of land. So we've acquired the Domtar property, and that added to the 450, 500 we had, add another 320 acres. It's just about already consumed. And what we plan on doing on that are adding three operations. One would be an anvil bagging plant. You might have heard of anvil bagging in the past. We'd like to add an anvil bagging plant. We'd like to add a wash facility. There's an existing wash facility that our group owns that's in Hanmer. That was there to support our operations when we were out there. We can continue to use that facility to support the operations here, but in an ideal world, we'd like to have everything on site. So we don't have to take a truck there, wash it, bring it back here, so on and so forth. So the game plan is to have everything on site. And the last facility we'd like to add on that is what's called hydrogen peroxide plant. What is that? To us, it's the future. The bulk emulsion that mines Vale, Glencore, that Consbec use in their operations are manufactured with a salt. Salt we use is ammonium nitrate solution. Or most of you might be aware of ammonium nitrate prill or fertilizer that you throw on your lawn. It's ammonium nitrate. Okay, that's a salt. We manufacture with that salt. There's a reluctance, carbon footprint, indigenous concerns, our concerns, communities' concerns. No one wants nitrates going into water near rivers and so on and so forth. The plant that we're proposing on bringing there is not made with nitrates. It's made with hydrogen peroxide. First plant in the world was in Sweden. The first plant in North America is from here. There's a lot of pull from the mining companies for this product. It won't replace nitrates. There's going to be a premium. It's an expensive product to manufacture, but there's demand. obviously we talk about carbon footprint, no nitrates. So what does that mean? Well, let's use Valley as an example. They've got nitrates from either prill or from leftover emulsion that didn't get blasted, that goes in. It breaks down in time. Emulsion is soluble, but over time, over a year, it's gonna break down. You have nitrates going into the water system. Valley have to treat that water before they can put it back into the environment. Okay. Nitrate fumes, NOx. You've heard the term NOx fumes. Typically, let's use Glencore as an example. Fraser Morgan mine, they blast at the end of the shift. Why do they do that? They don't want to clear the mine. They blast at the end of the shift, there's NOx fumes there, all the guys are out. Okay, with this product, you can blast anytime. There's no NOx. Okay, with this breaks down and not all the product goes off in a detonation, what does it break down? It's hydrogen peroxide, water, hydrogen. It's, there's a lot of pull from the mining space for this product right now. Why do we need more land? Because it's opportunities like that come along. Didn't know about this 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It's pretty exciting. It's exciting for us. We think it's gonna help us sort of revolutionize or get a foothold in the market. And this is where we'd like to put it. So we're proposing to build on the Domtar land here. You can see in this area here. This here is a spur. We're like everybody else. We haven't been able to sell, we have not been able to, we haven't been authorized yet. We have not sold property off. We've spent about 18 million so far on this site. No revenue yet. So no different than your township. We want to push revenue, get going, but we're watching our pennies as well. We've spent 18 million and we need a return on it. But the rail that you see there, with the expectation that this takes off, we have to add bulk, and rather than trucking hydrogen peroxide into the US, we'd like to rail it in. Why wouldn't we, to try and make us more competitive? So we will construct that rail spur in the future when it's warranted. Again, we're watching our money as well, but that's the location where we're going to put it. To the back, this is a ridge, high ridge. Over the years, you can recognize this ridge that goes through. But those are the three pieces. So I guess what I'm saying with the ridge south of this, it's difficult to build on. Yes, we acquired 320 acres, we can probably only develop on half of it. You just don't have access to it up on the hill and whatnot. It's just prohibitively expensive. Hence why we need a lot of land. Why are you asking for more land in Crown? More jobs, we'd like to have a truck shop. So if you can go back to the original, or maybe go ahead, you might have had a map. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. So here's the existing, this is the Domtar. We're proposing on developing this. We own this. We have an application in here. I want to talk about some of the challenges. And I'll get back to Hypex Bio and talk about that challenge. One of the most important challenges that we face is access. We have a solution. We've long had a solution. And we likely we're waiting for the permit from the MTO to construct. We own this former rail bed that goes through the development east-west, Short Street, all the way through, and then it crosses Highway 17. It wasn't in the original proposal more than 5 years ago, in the teens. We proposed a new access because when something like this, I think April and it crossed in here. And what became clear to us was over time, no one really wanted, we didn't really want, and CP/Huron Central didn't really want a private access crossing it. At some point, something's gonna happen. Truck gets stopped, guy doesn't pay attention. We're dealing or hauling explosives. It wasn't ideal. So we took a step back and said, well, hey, why didn't we not think at the beginning that you have there's a number of moving parts here. We own this all the way up to here. And that's what we've proposed to the MTO. We proposed it last fall and had not received our permit yet. We did geotech drilling. You might have saw some last year. We were doing geotech drilling on the south side of Highway 17 as part of that process. EXP and Sudbury is handling that for us. We were approached in the fall by OCL Sagamore. And we know there's an interest in trying to move them out of the city, out of the town. And they acquired property north of our property. And they said, look, you're further down the curve. It would help us. Can we jump on your wagon, so to speak? use EXP, deal with the MTO, and it'll help us move this along a little quicker, like you're already a year or so ahead. We said, no problem. We temporarily have access out short to go. Yes, we want to get down to the other end. It's a better entrance. It's gonna be safer. There's more visibility. But it's better for OCL as well. So this revised, I just took an excerpt, if you will, of the sketch. This is coming south onto our property. And this is the new entrance directly across that's going into Sagamok's property. I don't know, and I'm not looking for any answers. I don't know where they're at in their development. We know they're developing that north end and they're dealing with certain issues that they've got as well and doing that, but that's what's been submitted to the MTO. And the one challenge there, setback there, we've asked, I guess in any dialogue, I've asked Belinda and I'll ask yourselves, we could use the support if you're dealing anyone with the MTO to help us expedite this. They're notoriously slow. It's frustrating. Without this access, we can't, Belinda and your group are not authorized to sign off and give us occupancies in our buildings. So it's important for us. We got to get this going. That's what's been submitted. The end of last week, I got word back that they would not accept the geotech that we did on the south side of Highway 17 for the north side of Highway 17. Anyone drives out there, if anyone in the MTO actually went out there and looked at it, they'd see it's sand and gravel all the way along. We're not worried about the money. It's 50 grand. That's what it costs to do the geotech. It's just timing. I gotta get it done. We've got to get it back into them and we're hopefully say, okay, here's your permit, away you go. Despite having to do the geotech, we're comfortable that this is still gonna get done this year and built this year. We have to get it done this year. It's important for us. So that's where we're at. So the one ask in mind is when you come across or you have the occasion to help influence or put a little bit of leverage on the MTO, that's why. It would be helpful and beneficial. Hey, the MTO want it there. Their processes they take forever. And OCL's on board, it is what it is. It'll be good for them as well. The material for that, most of the material for that is being processed, locally. And OCL's been doing the crushing and there's a good relationship there. They're a good community member and we've been giving them a lot of work on site, a lot of crushing and stuff like that. So they've been good to work with. They're setting a lot of people on OCL. That's one challenge. It will be resolved this year, and our expectation, we have good relationships with a number of contractors. I expect it'll be a combination of Terra North Pioneer doing the work out there. And we do a lot of work for both those guys. Just not a lot of Peters out here. And we've reached out to a couple of local contractors, but not a lot of them are authorized, including OCL, to do MTO work. So that's sort of where it's at right now. We're open to suggestions. If you know anybody that is, let us know. We've tried to keep local as much as we can. Okay, Belinda, we'll go on to the next challenge. One more before it. Where did I put okay, we'll go one more. Let's go back to Hypex. He's probably had it there. I was trying to go in there. That's fine. So here's the challenge on Hypex. I found out we were aware there was a rural zoning and Belinda clarified. What was it called again? Is it
Natural resources.
it's a natural resource. It was a terminology. I can't remember. It was a conservation or natural resources rural. That prohibits us constructing a building on that site. Yes, we've acquired it, but it's not zoned properly. We've been through the zoning process before. Linda, were you involved when Lori went back in the day and
No, that's pre.
pre yourself? So we've been through the zoning, the original block of property that we acquired for the Crown in 2020. Was zoned rural, and we ended up, I think it was rezoned rural special. I think it was sort of the.
Rural special and then an M3 rural designation. So M3 is industrial.
It was modified there to allow for the manufacturing storage of explosives. we're gonna apply to do the same thing. The same designation for that piece of property, as the one adjacent to it. Hence one of the reasons I'm here tonight. We have a plant we're hoping to get in here this year on that site. We're not looking at skirting the process. We're looking for any support we can get to help us expedite the process. My understanding, Cale Richards is the planner, was retained by Nair. There are not a lot in Sudbury. I've reached out to three, one local, hoping to go with them if they have someone available. In my dialogue with them, they should have an application in within 2 weeks that we'll get in front of you. And to really ask for rezoning that really mimics the original block, just to do the same thing. Why? Well, because we have to manufacture explosives on that site. And while we don't necessarily think there's a lot of storage there, Hypex Bio is not like storing explosive, but for all intents and purposes, we'll have the same requirements. You never know, we might move another magazine and store something a little bit further on. So that's one of the main requests here tonight. I'm not requesting approval, obviously, but if he's can help us expedite that, we don't want to start the process, but we could certainly use any help that you have to try and help us get this going. We'd like to get this building. The hope is to have this plant operational by the end of the year, so that we can go to the local mining companies and start to use this new product. The last slide, Belinda. Really, why else do we, so let's crown land. Why do you need more crown land? I've talked a little bit. We'd like to put a plant out here, we'd like to put a shop out here. A shop and offices for our BME group. Right now, the BME are working in some couple offices that we have in the dead plant, so to speak, but most of them are back in Valcarron with us. And our hope is to have the BME, other than a couple executive offices, to have everyone on site. If this is where all of our work is, we want them on site right there. So, but where do you put it? We don't have any more room. We don't have any more room here. This is the edge of this coming up, but this is Rock Ridge right here. It's gonna be a bit, it's anywhere from 50 to 100 feet high on top. And then it'll run along like this. So, and this actually extends up along the highway. So we need more land for that. We'd also like to add a shock tube line. You say, what's a shock tube line? We haven't sold a product yet. We're trying to envision what's coming our way. What do we want to do? The detonators in the line that I told you are going to be authorized soon have for those that don't know or aren't familiar, detonators come in various lengths. 10 feet, say all the way through to 100 feet in 10-foot increments. So depending on where you're using one to cut, you have a different length you throw it out. That length is constructed of what's called shock tube. There's a little explosive in it, and it helps us detonate our blasts. Okay, that tube right now, we buy finished product off of others, and we'll bring it in and assemble it. We'd like to manufacture it here. So that's us looking forward to foresight. What can we do to vertically integrate to make us more competitive, and do it in an area? We call it our explosive center, if you will. That's sort of the vision is to keep vertically integrating and add more jobs, and add more, but we need land to accommodate that. That's really it. I mean, we certainly appreciate what Nairn has done to help us get here. We have a couple of challenges, but that's life. We'll get through them. We're certainly hoping that we can get those done this year. We've not been assessed. We're not really in production yet, but we're imminent. So I don't know what that process is with MPAC and the community and whatnot. It's typically dependent, obviously, on occupancies and stuff like that, but you can't provide us that till we get access. Access is the key. So walking away tonight, access and that other building for the new technology. That's sort of our ask. We'll continue to provide, well, I wouldn't say weekly. I said probably monthly going forward. I'll be in contact with Belinda, who can circulate information to yourselves. If any of you have any questions outside of Belinda, though, just call. We'll let you know where we're struggling with or what our challenges are. But we certainly see them getting resolved here this year. Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you were talking about that $18,000,
Yes.
Do we receive anything like that?
No, the 18 we're supposed to be operational. So, like I say, we're watching our pennies as well. When we're operational, we certainly don't have an issue. I don't know what impact's gonna say. I mean, our expectation is it would be at least a minimum of that. Where to me, that would be the underlying minimum that we would pay, see where impact comes in. And it was put in place because we're all mobile. So we certainly think that the assessment that comes in from impact is gonna exceed that and be better for the town. I don't know, Belinda, are you you're likely more familiar with that process than I am. Is it really just occupancy dependent for impact come in and do that, or
No, it's actually,
how does it work?
they could come in and assess as soon as the building's up.
Okay.
Even when there's a structure.
Well, and we're open to that. I mean, we're not manufacturing yet, but we're close in the buildings that are up. Like I say, we're gonna be authorized here soon where we can start to manufacture. We're certainly open to that. I mean, I'm not sure. Do we suggest they come in, or as a municipality, would you make a recommendation to impact to come in, or is that? So you have our blessing there. I mean, see if they want to come in and do that. That would
We'll
certainly
have to
help the
set up a
community.
time to get in. And get through the gates.
Yeah,
and
yeah, have them, if you can arrange for it, I'll come and meet them, or our people will meet them and take them through and show them the facilities that we have. If they're willing to come back the latter part of the year, and we'll have, hopefully we can have that other building done as well, right? The Hypex bio, so.
Any other questions, comments?
Appreciate your time.
Oh, no. I
Oh, go
have
ahead.
you.
Go ahead.
Don't worry.
I wasn't getting off easy, was I?
No. Okay, so I just want to review, like, so what exactly are you envisioning on lot 3, 4, and 5?
We're envisioning right now, two buildings. One, a shop, an office complex for BME. And number two, a shock tube plant, a shock tube plant.
And so what is that? That sounds.
Well, that's what I'd explained earlier. It's a component. It's a main component in the detonators. We currently are sourcing that from Spain. It's being sourced internationally. And what we'd like to do is manufacture that here locally. So they wouldn't have to fly someone else's product and so a little bit more vertical integration.
I guess what my concern is when I look at the lots is we're getting closer and closer to town.
A fair statement. I mean, it will be located. It will be located so that we meet the quantity distance tables that would be mandated by the Explosive Regulatory Division.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, and again, we certainly have no issue in providing the town. It's never been requested, but we have nothing to hide. Once we get our approvals for the plant and the buildings and stuff like that, here's a copy of our approval from the ERD. You know, just so you have it. It's inspected a minimum once annually.
Do you think if once you start production and things are going, that you would maybe be interested in having like an information night for the
No
residents?
problem. We thought about doing it with some of the indigenous. We haven't had a lot of difficulties with the people of Narrabeen Great, and most of the indigenous community has been good. There's been some challenges with the community, so we'd always thought about opening it up even for both the community here and the indigenous. Call it an open night. Come on in and take a look. You know, I don't know how that would go with the ERD. We will make a request. Do we have to bring in 10 at a time, or how does that work? I don't quite know, but we're certainly open to doing that.
I wasn't assuming a tour, even if you had it here.
Sure, no,
And just
this
share.
is easy. We
Yeah.
can do this with some videos, if you will. Or some slides like we've had now. Certainly have no problem in doing that.
And what did you want to put on lot 6?
Which,
Maybe I have it on a different.
well, we have 4, 5, 6, I think, just identified as a block, a crown block. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, 6 was like the funny brown color.
6 was
Oh,
So 6, so there's
Hypex
3,
bio.
yeah, so Hypex Bio, which is the new bulk emulsion plant, no nitrates. Okay, it's Swedish technology. Are we committed? Yes. Our partner acquired 10% of that international company. And they acquired the rights for North America, Australia, South Africa, where they are, and Indonesia. So we're committed. Our partners acquired part of that company.
Maybe I'm speaking for everyone else, but we'd probably love to come in ourselves for a tour sometime.
Well, this group here, this is easy. That we could do this. I mean, if it was a presentation with slides to show others. I would suggest we do that after your tour, because I think you would provide more credibility to what you saw sometimes than the business person, so to speak. So, yeah, at any time, the better time might be, we do it anytime. We'll be more closer to construction at the end of the year, obviously, when we get HIPEX complete and stuff like that, but we can go anytime that it makes sense for yourselves.
So as for MTO, we've had, one specific politician reach out to us and say,
George?
yeah, he was monitoring your progress and was surprised that there had been glitches. And he would be highly
I
supportive.
spoke, I did, word got back, and I appreciate what you have done there. We know George, our group know George well. As an aside, our family is a shareholder in a company called Frontier Lithium. And, we're developing a lithium mine in northwestern Ontario. So George and Doug and Vic Fideli, they've all been really good to the family. So I did reach out to George. He's following it. I'm watching what cards we pull, so to speak. And the only reason I say that now is I was waiting to find out if we'd be able to get away without having to do the geotech. I have to do the geotech now. So I don't want to go to George not having completed one of the items. So the thought process was, let's get the geotech done, get it in, and then I follow up with George, say, okay, everything's done now, George. They requested this, we did it. Everything's submitted. Can you make an inquiry for us and see where we're at? We know George, we know him personally, so we're hopeful that that helps as well. If we had to, we'll go to Vic or we'll go right to Doug. The provincial governments, provincial and feds are putting 248 million into this other project of ours, so we have a pretty good relationship with them. But anyway, that feedback back to us, we appreciate that. We didn't know that he was engaged with you on that, so it worked out well.
He asked us.
Oh, yeah, no, it worked out well. George has been, he's really good. He's really good. But again, no problem taking this group, whenever you want. And whenever you think it makes sense to have the community in or do a bit of a presentation slideshow with where we're at, what's going on, no problem at all.
So what happens once you're up and running and let's say there's an accident? Like, is it our, community fire that?
No, it's, well, I'll say this, if there's a fire, and Belinda might recall some of it, we let it burn, we don't fight it. Okay, so, that's how we handle that. I know there's been some, I don't know, one of our individuals, our regulatory gentleman or safety gentleman, provided the fire chief at the time with the procedures and how to follow them in case of an accident. I'll reiterate this. I probably said it 10 years ago in here in front of other people. There's never been a detonation of a bulk emulsion plant. So the emulsion plant that I showed you there's never been a detonation of it. I can't speak to that in North America of a detonator plant because there are not many of them. We are minimizing the exposure of people to the detonators, not worried about the public, because the public is often a setback distance that we've mandated to do. In terms of worried about our workers, it's a pretty high-tech plant that there's a lot of safety features in there. And I think when we do a bit of a tour, I'll be able to show you some of those safety features we're talking about in terms of where do you put, so we have shells that come in with explosives and they're placed in a little block when they go into the robot picks them up. So we've tried to minimize the amount of human exposure, if you will, to this line. But some of the things that we've done so they can't, I don't want to use the word, it's called sympathetic detonation. Essentially, if one of those were to explode, okay, how do we prevent or make sure that humans are protected and all the other elements in that little block don't go detonate? So there's some things we've done there to do that. All of this is required and mandated by the ERD. It's highly regulated. Doesn't mean it's perfect, or there's never going to be the chance of an explosion. I mean, there's not a person who could do that, but we're certainly quite comfortable. The impact of the public is negligible to the point where that's why we deal with the ERD. That's why they're in tomorrow. Are you building it right? Are you doing things properly? How's your construction coming? It's highly regulated. But we'll be able to show you that on a tour for yourselves, and it'll help you address some questions your constituents will have.
Oh, All right, Counselor
Oh,
Austin.
can I just finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but the fire department, our fire department will not be responding to no fires. Yeah?
Well, I don't know what was in the procedures. I apologize. I can find out what was submitted. I haven't looked at it in a while. I know it was submitted. But if there's a fire on our site, your fire department's not going and fighting that. They're not. We've got identified muster points on the site where we'll have people. We do not fight that fire. We let it burn.
So our fire department.
They'll know that.
They don't need any
Well,
extra training or anything?
No, there's no extra training. I think there was some, we've provided copies of the MSDS sheets, and all the materials that are gonna be on that site. Now, what hasn't been, because we haven't got there yet, will be hydrogen peroxide. That's more volatile than an explosive. So there will be some upgrades or, if you will, to the procedure that we've already submitted. But that's not operating yet. We haven't constructed anything. But anything that was applicable has been submitted to the fire department. I apologize, Rod, I haven't looked at it in a bunch of years because we haven't really gotten going too much yet. But that was, it's in their hands and they do not fight the fire out there. And the other question asked, well, how come we don't have fences out there? It was back in the ERD and everyone asked, well, we want a fence around it. Part of the concern and the indigenous concern as well was they wanted wildlife, and there's lots of wildlife out there. They migrate through. We don't put fences up and prevent them from going where they've gone for 100 years and so on and so forth. But we haven't seen, there are cameras out there, we haven't seen any trespassers. In the both entrances, there's a large gate, clearly marked, signs around, and people, we haven't seen people go back there.
I think there's probably snowmobile trails that go through at least lot 3.
It used to, but it doesn't go there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one that went down around the foot of the rail side, but it's not allowed to go there anymore.
Counselor Austin.
Yes, you mentioned no firefighters. Now, what about your office and truck facilities?
Well, we haven't constructed it yet.
You know,
So
no, but
So it would change, the process for us to be able to use that facility is the wash bay. So again, it's regulated, just so we understand how it works. If we have to do some hot work on a truck, welding or whatever, that truck has to be purged. It's brought to our wash bay. In the future, that wash bay will be here. Okay, then it goes into our truck shop, and that shop would be on site. That one there, we would like to identify to protect it and fight it. And here's what I mean, the ERD they regulate everything. It is not a requirement or mandated to have, as an example, to have water sprinklers in that building. To the point where they don't want it. They don't want people thinking, oh, you got water sprinklers, you're gonna be okay. That's not how they want you to think. You do not fight that fire. That's how they want you to think. But that will be a building, when we do that in the future, we'll make the request, look, we'll identify it, there'll be an updated plan. Here's the new Hypex building. Here are the MSDS sheets and all the commodities that are there, know where they're at, know where the storage is. But on the shop, we'd like to fight that one. We'll have sprinklers, and we'll have everything on that facility.
I guess the other question is there any thoughts of using town water?
Well, I'd say no, because we haven't thought that far ahead, other than we know we need land. We don't have the land yet. If we can't get the land from the Crown, I don't know where we put the shop. We'd certainly like to have it on site. There's a letter on that one, I'm gonna apologize, Belinda, there's so much information. There was one letter, so you can ask your constituents, go on the Crown one, see this letter here. So as part of the process to acquire Crown land, we've been requested to submit a letter to the township. We've completed that. And then you're to fill out and submit it to the MNR. And we are also required to submit this letter here. It's identified as a notice for adjacent property owners as part of the Crown's process. This was not required in 2010 when we started the first process. It's new. So anyone within a kilometer radius of the Crown land that we're seeking to acquire will receive a copy of that letter. And they can write their comments, their remarks, and it's submitted directly to the MNR. So if your constituents, we're gonna go house to house and hand them out. If they have any questions, that's what that's regarding. our request, part of the process to, acquire the property off the Crown. If they come back, this wasn't part of the first process. If we're successful here, and I don't know what that looks like, they will ask us to do a class environmental assessment like they did on the first Crown land that we acquired. We suspect it'll be similar to the first block that we acquired, but there's a process we have to go through. That won't happen. It was we acquired it in 2020. We initiated our search process here in 2017 or 2012, so it was about 8 years. We're hoping it doesn't take that long. There was an appeal process. We had to go to the OMB on one homeowner, and we're hoping that's not the case here, but yeah. We'd like to have that shop in, I'm hoping 3 to 5 years. I just depending on how quick or how slow the process with the M&R is. Therein lies the challenges. We're seeking the support of Nairn, and Nairn's been great. It's been great for this project. We're just about there. The finish line, we can see it. We have challenges with the MTO and M&R. And we need the support, and we've always had the support of Nairn, so we're thankful for that. We wouldn't be where we were without the support of this community. But we still have a couple of hurdles with both the M&R and the MTO to deal with.
Yeah, well,
Thanks.
thank you
No, thanks
so
for your time.
much.
Thanks for your
This is
time.
very-
Like I say, any questions, you can feel free to go through Belinda, have her solicit them, or feel free to call me directly. And I can come out, and when it's good at some point, if you would like to do something sooner, no problem, we can arrange to get everyone out, go for a quick tour. It'll help you with the constituents, and at some point down the road to do a show here, maybe you let me know when it's best for yourselves.
Well, I think whenever we're close to production.
Yeah.
Like, I think people in town will sense.
It'll be within the next 6 months, right?
Yeah,
So, if we can, I've been told, like I said, I'm hoping to have something in front of Belinda to start the process on the rezoning. They told me within a couple of weeks, we'll have something there. And we're gonna initiate the geotech. I hope they have their equipment so we can get on that right away. And then get back to the MTO. The MTO, they have everything they need other than the fact that they want $50,000 more in geotech. So, is what it is.
yeah, I mean, maybe it doesn't seem like it, but we've been following this process. I have anyway. Belinda and I speak about it often, so we've been keeping eyes on it and.
Well, no, it's good. Hey, Nairn's been great. I mean, the pictures are good. You can see, hey, we're spending money. We're getting there. We're close. We're close. We're not far. It's been good. We'd like more people from the community to apply for some work up there to get going. We have a few. We've opened up to a lot of the indigenous community, but no takers there. Not yet.
Does that make a lot of difference at that intersection with having 2 commercial entrances right there?
They want, I'm not an expert at it. The EXP certainly thought that it would be better to have them opposing each other at that one location as opposed to staggering it.
Yeah.
On our end, I'm hoping, so I'm assuming it's safer. I'm hoping that it's a little more cost effective, so we can save a little bit doing that construction all at once, rather than coming in and tearing the road up twice. That was part of the thought process with Saginaw OCL. And they were very good about it. They said, look, we don't want to hold these back. And we said, look, we still have temporary access at Short Street. We said, let's do it right, let's do it once. They've been very good to us, the Saginaw OCL, have been very good to us. And we see an opportunity in the future to do a couple other things out on that site that might be beneficial for both companies and the community. So, we drill blast, they crush.
Just makes sense.
They did the ballast, they crushed, we did the drilling and blasting, they did the crushing, we put up the ballast for the rail that you see. All the rock for the roads, granular A, granular B, they've been very good to work with. We've tried to engage a little bit with Whitefish River, Whitefish Lake, and we'll get there. It just hasn't gone as quick as the Saginaw. They seem quite progressive, and we find them very good. But,
And they're right in town.
they're right in town. They've been good, so it was easy for us to say, hey, no problem. We're not really going in a big way here yet. We've got some small things going out, a couple of those here and there. By the end of the year, hopefully we have the one done, and like I say, hopefully they get their issues they're doing. I think they have to go through rezoning as well and all that kind of stuff, but just so you know, it's, we have a good relationship with them, and we think collectively it'd be good for the community. So we get along well together. And we're looking at, there's a lot of rock there, so we're looking at ballast opportunities. Here on Central says, hey, you guys drill blast, you got a rail siding now. Hey, so why some of the other land out there? We'll see where it goes. There's some, there's opportunities for two of the business community, partners, if you will, we're looking at it together. We're hopeful that some things work out. It takes time. We have a number of, environmental groups and a number of engineers helping us get permitted to do those kinds of things. Whether it's sand extraction off of some of the property that we have up there for some of the local mines and so on and so forth. Stuff like that. So, but yeah, like I say, any questions, just call. You would be where we're at with the committees. You guys have been great because we have a couple more hurdles to fill and we're not there yet. We'd like to get our buildings signed off and I know why, and we're not quite there, but we're close. We're close. Well, thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, no problem. Like I say, when you just want a tour, reach out and we'll get that done. It'll help you. By helping you with your constituents, it helps us. It helps us. It really does. So thanks for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, why don't we take a 5-minute break? And then come back?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so now we move to the approval of the fire department budget, which I believe then we have to find a new chair. Okay, so we just have to temporarily move to a public meeting first. Okay, moved by Councilor McVeigh, seconded by Councilor Richter. Be it resolved that the council meeting be temporarily adjourned at 7:25 PM for the purpose of a public meeting. All in favor? That's carried. We're in a public meeting. Moved by Councilor Richter, seconded by Councilor McVeigh, be it resolved that pursuant to bylaw number 2007-9, the public meeting is now officially open for the purpose of hearing comments regarding the 2025 fire department budget and the municipal budget. All in favor? Oh, that's carried. So do I stay as we receive comments from the fire budget? No, so we'll go to, who's gonna chair? Councilor McDonald, are you going to chair?
No, let her.
Councilor Richter? No,
Okay, I will.
Moved by Councilor McVeigh, seconded by Councilor Richter, be it resolved that Councilor McDonald will chair the portion of the meeting to pass the fire budget as Mayor Mazie has declared a conflict. All in favor? Are you in favor?
Yeah, well, I didn't think I was supposed to. Well,
Okay, so now. I wouldn't go farther.
Okay.
I would take it down there. Oh, right.
I declare the meeting over.
Cool, let's go. Okay, so through you, Mr. Chair, the fire budget has been amended to as per the resolutions decided at the last meeting. So if you saw in your newly updated budget, the capital project to repave the parking lot has been removed. And the reserves have been upped by the 15,000 that was decided to take from that project. So that's essentially the only changes you made. So if you're okay with that, we can go ahead and approve the fire budget.
Okay, yeah, I think we can approve it.
Okay, so you'll have to second this. Ron. So the way it reads, and I'll get you to pass it. Be it resolved that the draft fire budget as presented at the June 2nd, 2025 meeting is approved. Okay,
So I just say I'll approve it.
so you just see moved by Karen, seconded by you, and then I'll ask all in favor.
Okay, moved by Karen, who did this?
Richard,
Richter, like the Richter scale.
second by Rod McDonald. The draft the draft fire budget as presented at the June 2nd, 2025 meeting is approved. All in favor?
So you just have to sign right there.
Oh, sign. Yeah, it's a hard time speaking, that's why I never run for council or mayor.
So then this one is just to return the chair to Mayor Maisy.
Moved by Rod McDonald, second by Karen Richard. That Mayor Maisy return to the chair to discuss the municipal budget. All in favor? How did I do all right?
You did good. I'll go get them.
Do I get an extra pay for that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Not a very good speaker. I can complain.
So do we have to pass the chair back?
Won't take me long to get things.
Maybe you should take that full time.
And just
No, I don't
ask
think so.
if there's any comments.
We've handled that very good.
So is there anyone, now we're back in the public meeting, is there any comments about, the municipal budget at all? No?
No.
What was our percentage?
3.5.
What's 3.58 is totally up.
Oh, because there was an addition. What was the addition in the end? Council remuneration. Oh. You big spenders.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I have 3.48.
that's 3.5.
Well, she's saying 3.58.
Yeah.
So if we look at that asset management, they want it to be around 7.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so if there's no more comments, we'll close the public meeting and we'll pass it. Moved by Counselor Richter, seconded by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that the public meeting is now officially closed at 7:30 PM and the council meeting is now reconvened. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Council McVeigh, seconded by Councilor Richter, be it resolved that the 2025 municipal budget be approved with an amount required for taxation, municipal and education totaling $1,058,783 with a 3.58% combined total increase. All in favor? It's carried. So that's our budgets done. Next, we have discussions arising from previous minutes. I'm sorry, but I actually have 2 issues. I'm so sorry. And one of them is actually lengthy. I feel bad, but a couple of times when we have discussed donations, and this was in our previous minutes, I know sometimes it's easy to forget that we are being recorded. But I think we need to be mindful that the people that are possibly donating to us can see the recording. And I think we should, and maybe you politely disagree, but I think we should try to keep our comments to either thank you or no thank you, basically, variations of that. That's all I have to say about that unless someone else has something else they want to add. Then the other thing is a big issue. Agnew Lake, quite complicated. So we have generally timelines. So we believe by possibly mid-June, we're confirming that tomorrow, we should hear back from Hutchinson Environmental. So all of the information that we sent we should find out what they have to say about it by mid-June. The renewal of the license for the site through the CNSC is, the end of July. That doesn't really matter so much. Mid-July is when the water samples that Counselor Austin and other men arranged, we will find out about that. The expectation is that we probably won't find anything exciting on them, but maybe we will. I mean, it was spring, who knows? By mid-July, there will be work on the site at Agnew tailings management area. But they are hoping at this point, if the CNSC approves all the license, there was an issue with water. They are hoping to start trucking mid-August. So we are coming to you to say, what would you like to do? How would you like to engage the public? How, at this point, we don't have answers from Hutchinson Environmental. My feeling is that the MTO and the Ministry of Mines has really played this very well, that they've deferred answers to the point where now they're gonna start trucking in the next few months. But also our residents kind of leave the area or aren't as engaged in the summer. That's what I feel. Maybe you have other feelings. So if we're wanting to discuss things with the public, it's going to be hard in July and August. Councilor Richter.
I suspect that there's enough interest for the people who are interested that they will,
Come in any
they
time.
will come in any time.
I hope so. So I guess we're looking for direction. So if we're going on that assumption, would you like to wait till mid-June and maybe we have an emergency meeting? And then we decide where to, you know, when we hear back from Hutchinson Environmental, and then we decide where to go, because it may be favorable. Or it may not be. We don't know what they're gonna say.
I would really like to know what they have to say. Because as we've said before, that we're not
We don't.
confident to understand what's in there, so have somebody tell us what it is, I think is really critical.
Yeah, I agree with her.
And there's no sense going to the public if we don't have educated answers
Right,
that are on our side, not on the government side.
yes, now we've kind of stated this publicly too in the meeting, kind of the timelines. I didn't want to feel like I was withholding any information, because people do ask me. So are we agreed that we wait till mid-June or when Hutchinson has, a report? They were gonna give a final report, but they were also a week earlier going to have a verbal report?
Yeah, they were gonna meet with yourself and I, go through the draft report. Deal with any questions we might have before they produce the final report.
So do you wanna wait till the final report or till the week before when we have a verbal report? I think the verbal report will give us a general understanding.
At what date do you get the written report?
Mid-June, I think.
I'd be for that.
Anytime near the end of June is. That appropriate, I think. You have
People
support,
get-
so
Distracted with vacation by the end of June.
You're Counselor Richter, if you're into this, you're gonna be into it. If you're not into it,
I hope.
well, then you weren't that into it if you didn't come out.
Were you looking something up?
I was just looking at the calendar.
So CAO Ketchiba is gonna confirm, I think you speak to them tomorrow, so you'll know more specific dates. But are we generally agreed then to have an emergency meeting at the final report?
I would ask you to refer to it as an information meeting, not an emergency
I
meeting.
think, we have to have a meeting before we have a,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just us.
It's an information meeting, it's not an emergency.
Well, am I
Special
wrong
me-
in
a
saying it's
special meeting.
special?
Yeah.
It would be a special meeting if it's just us, we're involving other councils. It just depends on how much notice we're giving to the public.
Yeah.
What we would call it. Yeah, I'm not trying to excite everyone, but it is not our regular council meeting.
but it's a council meeting, it's not a public meeting.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, that's, that's,
Yeah, I think if we are just finding out the information, I think we have a meeting and then decide how to move forward.
correct.
Does that include other councils?
Do you want it to?
Well, they're involved in it, I think.
I think especially Baldwin,
Well, I think all of them, because they've all backed us.
Yeah.
And we're gonna need all the help we can get if we can't.
Update for everybody. on what's
unfavorable.
going on.
Yeah. Cause not if it is unfavorable, there's nothing we can do about it. Be good to have everybody on board and everybody know where we're leading.
so there will be a new motion.
We've,
Sorry.
I think we've asked them to incur some of the costs. I don't know if they have, but if you're gonna exclude them after the.
I wasn't excluding anything. I was just trying to figure out how you wanted to proceed. As I thought about it, it just seems like we're under a big time crunch. So did you want a motion? Do we want to schedule it or do we want me to reach out once we have,
Reach out and you set the schedule or set. the
as soon
date.
as you know kind of when we're gonna get, so we're not gonna do a motion?
For how, and we don't know when.
Yeah, but just to have one, but that's okay.
Unless you want, just
that we
discussed it.
Yeah, that's
Well,
fine.
we'll in the schedule of a meeting with the councils to discuss the.
And we'll have a bit of lead up, sorry, through you, Madam Chair, we'll have some lead up when they ask to meet, just to go over the draft, so.
Okay, so any other discussions arising from previous council minutes? No, and then approval of our council minutes?
I don't, Councillor McDonald's.
You know, I didn't
closed
read
session.
this yet.
Oh,
I don't know that I did actually.
I don't think you did, Mayor. I brought them over to Councilor
Yeah.
Austin and then.
All right, moved by Councillor Richter, seconded by Councillor McVeigh, be it resolved that the following council meeting minutes be accepted as presented. A, regular council meeting minutes, May 12, 2025. B, closed session meeting minutes, May 12, 2025. C, special council meeting minutes, May 22nd, 2025. D, closed session meeting minutes, May 22nd, 2025. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, second by Counselor Richter, be it resolved that the minutes and reports, items 7A to F are noted as received. All in favor? Counselor Austin, carried. And then, so we need to talk about PSD report, or do we accept, or we're just trying to, okay. So now we need to come to some kind of agreement about the proposed levels of service analysis. Who wants to start?
Well, I can say right now, we've got our budget for this year. I don't think we're gonna change anything for this year.
No, you're right.
So we can postpone it for,
I think we have, do we not have to by the government? We have to, but we have to.
oh, we have.
We have to
Yeah,
approve
they would
something
like-
tonight.
They would like us to make, but even if I understand it correctly, we can decide that we're gonna do 75 or 50%, but the next council doesn't need, they're not obligated to follow that, right? So even though it's supposed to happen for 15 years, every council is kind of going to, right? Am I wrong?
It's a guideline.
Yeah. My issue is there's just so many variables, like if we got a grant for the water treatment plant, or if we have a new company setting up business in town paying us a lot more tax all of a sudden, you know, Counselor McVeigh.
But that's why they said to reassess it every year. Cause that's when you're gonna change it. Then it may go down, it may go up. Maybe we have a company fold up or several companies fold up or something like that.
Yeah, but we're not
It could be.
going through that whole process again.
No, they just review it is what she said, I thought.
She did.
Yeah.
So we do have to pick a level of service and vote on it and accept it. I do not like the 75%
Well,
myself.
if I may, I'm not even gonna suggest 50%. I think, is what I wrote down in my own notes. Is if we had to put our water up 2% over what we've already agreed to, would be +2 plus whatever we have there, and as far as the taxes, I'd say a maximum of 1%.
Is this so it comes into effect immediately?
No, it's gonna, it has to be passed, or it should be passed by regulation through, Infrastructure Canada and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs by July 1st. This, like she mentioned, is a guideline of how to move forward to fund that asset management plan that we have to have passed by July 1st. These are the funding scenarios that have to be included as part of that plan. Like she said, it's a guideline. We do have the software to look at we own that software. We do pay, a fee every year to maintain it. But all our assets are in there. And we can run reports and we can take a look and say, hey, we've done a little maintenance over here, it's extended this road by X amount of years. So like she mentioned, there's a lot of variables in play, which I know are very complicated, and even for me to just take a look at it, it requires a lot of training even to go into that software. But we're gonna be doing that training going forward, so I can produce those reports.
So let's say if all of a sudden we have to replace a fire truck, then we can go in and change. Yeah. So what we're voting on now is kind of something for us to keep in mind when we do budget for next year. That's kind of just a guideline. It's a guideline.
I said my piece, what I think for next year, starting January 1st.
You would add 1%.
Yes,
3%, 1% or 2% to water,
2%
1%.
on water and. Cause our water funds are kind of isolated.
There. Counselor McDonald,
I agree with that, 1%.
Counselor Richter.
I think I'd like to have another shot at taking a look at some of those numbers. And seeing whether even 1% and 2% is gonna be adequate. It's like if we don't start now, it's just gonna get worse in the future. So one of the alternatives might be that we end up borrowing money to do these infrastructure projects, and then we've got interest costs. And is that gonna be like this, a lot of this is pushing it down the line.
Councilor McVeigh?
Well, we have to make a decision tonight. I was okay with the 50%. That was my one. If I had to pick out of the three that the expert told us, I was okay with 50%.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking 50%, but I think if Councilor Richter wants a chance to look, we are supposed to have it passed by July 1st. But that is, is it okay if we, can we push it?
Yes, we can push it. It does put some of the grants that we're going after in a bit of jeopardy though.
What, can we add it to our special meeting in June? Sure, can we? Oh, except everyone's going to be, if we invite all of the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
municipalities, then that's.
Yeah, so what,
How does it put the grants in jeopardy?
so this regulation that's been making us do these asset management plans, if we're not in compliance with their with their deadlines, so July 1st is the deadline. Even then, if passing this tonight, we'll just have the draft passed.
Okay,
Or draft posted, it has to be on our website, we have to give them a link to it, and we are going after a big infrastructure grant for our water treatment plant. They could possibly look and say they're not in compliance.
sorry, then I absolutely do not want to make us not compliant, and I'm
I'm probably, that's being a little bit
Particular, but
particular and playing it safe, but that is a possibility.
I think there was an allusion to that in the presentation where she said they're trying to force people to justify why we're asking for grants. So yeah, we're asking for grants.
okay, so then we're going to come to a conclusion tonight. I'm fine with 50%. Councilor McVeigh, are you 50%? You're 50%. Remember, this is a guideline, gentlemen. And we will have to consider, basically, I think we're almost reevaluating with every budget, right? I mean, maybe we're not supposed to be, but that kind of feels.
No, that's what these plans are designed to make us do, is evaluate where our assets are at. And reflect that in the budget. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we try to do that, or you do already with, our reserves and, that we use some and then we wanted it back, but yeah. Okay, so. You want me to put that? Sure. I need a first and seconder. So, Councilor Richter, will you move it?
Yes.
And Councilor McVeigh to second?
Sure.
Okay, so moved by Councilor Richter, seconded by Councilor McVeigh. Whereas council has received the presentation and the report from PSD citywide regarding the proposed levels of service for the update to the township's asset management plan and recommended funding scenario to support the financial sustainability of the town's assets. And be it resolved that the council directs that scenario 3, achieving 50% of funding in 15 years, be included in the updated asset management plan financial strategy. All in favor? That's carried. Employee vacation policy. Did anyone have any comments on employee vacation policy?
No.
Looks
Yes,
great.
I think it's, in my opinion, it's too generous.
It's too generous.
Yes.
Did you want to talk about specifics?
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna get find it here again. Yeah, so up to 3 weeks, I think it's too soon. Most companies, it's 4 to 5 years before you get 3 weeks.
No,
No.
since COVID, 3 weeks to
No.
start somebody.
Well,
Is it, like,
4 weeks after 7, I think it's too soon, but that's
Yeah, I think
whatever.
Can I just make a statement?
Sure.
The weeks of service, or the weeks of vacation or service. That's part of the HR bylaw. That's not something that is
Negotiable.
regulated by this policy. That's what the bylaw that we've all been hired under. So if we do want to change it, it would only take effect to new hires that were permanent part-time. This is only for permanent part-time, or sorry, permanent full-time, my apologies. And we were all hired under that bylaw. So if we do want to change it, it would have to go into our HR bylaw and be changed.
So it's here already, why are we voting on it now? But,
That's just Madam Chair, that was just part of the policy, so we didn't have to. I could take it out, but it was just part of the policy that outlined, this is what you get. They already know that that's what they get, but it was just to make it part of the policy. But I can take it out.
I think it makes sense to have it all together, because isn't it the issue that then you have each employee read it and they sign it?
That's right.
So then if they disagree, oh, I didn't know, well,
I know.
you signed it. Any other comments, Counselor
No, that's
Austin?
all.
It was to the vacation, Counselor McDonald? Counselor Richter?
Good.
good?
Yeah. So moved by Counselor Richter, seconded by Counselor McVeigh, whereas council receives the CAO's report 2025-24 entitled Employee Vacation Policy for information, and now therefore be it resolved that council approves the vacation policy as attached to this report and enact bylaw number 2025-20 by giving it 3 readings at June 2nd, 2025 council meeting to adopt the policy. All in favor? That's carried. We have to do anything more for the fire chiefs without it. Any comments about the fire chief report? Nope. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Karen Richter, or Counselor Richter, whereas council has received the fire chief's report dated May 27, 2025 as presented. And therefore be it resolved that, council accepts the application from Norman Furlock to join the Township of Narrenheim's Fire Department as volunteer firefighter. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Counselor Richter, seconded by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that council accepts the public health unapproved minutes dated May 15th, 2025 as presented. All in favor? That's carried.
just a question on your report for Aqua. Their maintenance thing here does not say anything about servicing the generator. All it says they test run it. Do they have a service program for that?
That's a great question. I can report back. I know they do, I just don't know the schedule.
Yeah, no, I just wondered, like, do they change the oil every 5 years or every 1 year? I don't.
That's a good question.
Feel free to whatever. Okay, thanks.
Any other concerns about Aqua? Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Karen or Counselor Richter, be it resolved that council accepts the Aqua April 2025 work order summary report as presented. All in favor? That's carried. No correspondences, no motions, then we have bylaws. Did somebody mix up the order? That's okay. We got it.
Could have been our send.
Moved by Counselor Richter, seconded by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that being a bylaw to set the 2025 tax ratios be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2025-15. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Richter, be it resolved that being a bylaw to provide for the adoption of tax rates and to further provide for penalty and interest in default payment of the year 2025, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council. Its number shall be 2025-16. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that being a bylaw to provide for paying remuneration to members of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Narren-Hyman, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council. Its number shall be 2025-17. All in favor? That's carried. What is the Committee of Adjustment? That's to approve minor variances with planning applications. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that being a bylaw to appoint a Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Narren-Hyman be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2025-18. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that being a bylaw to provide for the erection of a stop sign at intersections within the Township of Narren and Hyman be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2025-19. All in favor? That's carried. Stop sign coming your way soon. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, second by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that being a bylaw to establish an employee vacation policy be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council, and its number shall be 2025-20. All in favor? That's carried. Oh, we made some progress there. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that for information only, item 11A is noted as received. All in favor? That's carried. So nothing with the OPP, and then is it just a blank ones from here on out? Okay. So, but we're in other business. So the first thing is motions. We have discussed it. There was $170 at cost to have the benches made. I looked into it because we had talked about doing it in Sand Bay. If it's the shop teacher, we kind of need to make a decision so they know for September. I'm flexible. I think the money could come from recreation, who has $1,000 in miscellaneous, but they also have a $1,500 gift that they were given this year. So they don't have concrete plans about what they might want to do with the donation, but they don't need to. Counselor McVeigh?
So are you saying as council, we would tell them what to do with their, like, to spend $600 of their, I'm just asking because I don't know.
I don't know. I
That's
don't
what
know
we-
how that works, but I know there's lots of money in recreation. CEO Petrifon?
that's not waters
taking-
that I have not tread through yet, so, I think that's certainly if that's what the committee, wanted to propose to council to do with that money, that could be one of the
I
ideas.
agree that way, yeah.
So any interested in these benches at all? No?
Well, the only issue I had to mention last time is, are they approved?
Oh, CSA approved.
Yes.
Well, if they're wood and they're built to building code, then they're okay, right?
If someone gets hurt on them,
Yeah,
who will be responsible?
we're gonna be responsible no matter what.
Either way, but if you
Yeah.
buy CSA approved benches, you
We don't need to do it. We just talked about having benches up at Sand Bay. So this was a cost-effective way to get them.
And did we have anywhere that we could put them? Like, are we putting those in the ditch? Or are we putting those in? Like,
So CAO, Ketchiba, so the other thing is, are you putting them somewhere where then town employees have to maintain, right? Like we already do at parks. So one of the ideas that I don't know, CAO Ketchiba maybe came up with it. Do you want to talk about it?
We both
I
bounced
don't know.
ideas off. There was a possibility of an adopt a bench program. Or if some of the members in Hyman, out at Sand Bay wanted to have a spot along the front of their frontage where people could stop, have a rest during their walk. They could take care of the bench, they could take care of the area. That was just an idea. Or there could be, we do have a bit of land beside the fire hall up there, but other than that, it would be on a road allowance, which is not ideal for winter.
the adopt the bench idea sounds great until they sell. And then who's coming to get this bench off my property? Cause I don't want to.
Oh,
That's a good point.
I don't think they're gonna last forever, but yeah, you're right. People could sell
I think you're
within
gonna
a
see some
year.
transactions up there once everybody gets their deeds and. What I want today might not be what Mayor Maisie wants when she buys my house there tomorrow.
I only pursued it because we had talked about benches up there. So, that's all. So if we're not interested, we don't need to do it.
I think it's a great idea, but I'd like to hear from somebody out there. If they think it's a great idea, cause I don't live out there. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a great idea in a way of putting. Something back in that piece of our community. I just,
It could be as easy as if we do a poster for, who would like to have a bench on their property and no one comes forward. Then no, we're not putting it, or maybe we put one bench at the fire hall, but other than that, there's
And-
nowhere.
I almost said his name. Slap me when I do that. Could Public Works do like they did at the dog park and take a small bench from inside the ball field area? And move a section of it down to there? Cause the benches that are in the dog park are excellent. And our Public Works Superintendent did a great job on those. Is that an option? Because there is still 4 or 5 benches or bench
Sure.
footage of. Sitting
There are
there,
benches, I forgot.
yeah.
They're missing their wood,
Yeah.
right?
No, they're there.
Oh.
Wood's there inside the, they may need to be updated,
Yeah.
but that would be minimal cost, and then they're also steel framed, so we don't have to worry about.
Falling
rotting,
apart as
or,
much.
you know what I mean? Sorry, I just like literally just think of this while we're sitting here, cause
I
the
forgot about-
benches at the dog park are excellent. That our Public Works Department put there, and I know like, we know where they got them from. Could we use a piece of that?
Yeah, I'm just not aware of like the quantity that we have still sitting at the pavilion, but I could certainly find out. Cause those were leftovers.
Oh, I thought
from-
they took them out of where, sorry, I'm not very active, I don't play baseball, I don't try to read, but,
Yeah, they were part of
they
the,
were part of the benches inside the ball field, inside the ball
Yeah.
field. And then,
players benches. you're
Yeah.
yeah, players,
yeah.
bench, thank you. And I'm 90% sure that when I was there the other afternoon, the one whole section is there on the one side and there's half on the other side. But it's just a thought that
So, but we're not going to continue with Espanola Shop. I just would like to give them an answer and then we could pursue with, okay. So do we need a motion to discuss with Public Works about checking, I don't know, fixing
Do we need a
benches?
motion for that, or
I don't
can
think we need a motion.
CEO just talk to her employees?
Okay, I'll report back, to what we have. Oh, so sidewalks. I know we talk about this, we didn't talk about it last year, it just feels like it. Council wasn't interested in dealing with the sidewalks 2 years ago. I know we've talked about liability, we do have some sidewalks that are partially covered and uncovered. We have sidewalks that have been really well maintained by people in front of their house, and those sidewalks tend to look great. I think why I'm so focused on it is that it's a resource that we have in the community. We expect people to keep their place tidy. And I don't think it reflects well on us if we have a resource that we're allowing to slip away. I do not want to spend $1 million on this. I would like to spend about $1,000 a year at the most. But I wanted to talk about it now because we have students coming for the summer. Yes, we need them to do ditches. You can't do ditches 8 hours a day, every day of the week. So it'd be nice to have something else to do. But I am flexible. I just wanted to bring it to you.
I'm not interested. I think if we start tearing that apart, it'll get very expensive very fast, and then I think we have to fix them once if you uncover the mess, gotta clean it. Right now, it's covered. And
I would disagree that it is not covered in some places.
Yeah.
In some it is.
Yeah,
In some it is covered. Counselor Victor.
I'm kind of in favor of it. I don't know much about it. I think that if you've got cement under grass and dirt, the cement should still be there.
It can heave, I think is the big issue. So then you have varying levels and some of them are asphalt as well. But those are the ones that are more completely buried on Smith Street. Now, CAO Ketchum was also raising the issue that we may be able to go to the MTO because it's their street, but they also may just say they don't want to deal with sidewalks at all and remove them. So that could be bad. But Counselor Austin.
Well, I think any sidewalks we have should be fixed and usable. If they're not, they shouldn't be there. And we have lots of sidewalks that need, what would you call cleanup?
I don't think, we don't have, like, it's really just Front Street. Is there anything on
This
Taylor?
Street here, McIntyre.
Yeah, Smith.
That street, Front Street,
Smith is very covered.
Smith Street, Hall Street.
Hall Street, I haven't seen Hall Street.
That's about the limit of our sidewalks.
Front Street. Yeah, there's not a lot. Counselor McDonald.
Oh, yes, years ago, we did the same thing pretty well, clean up all the streets and nobody ever used them. But I guess if we have sidewalks, we should maintain them. Cause, like I said years ago, they walk in the road and we've spent the money on fixing the sidewalks, cleaning them all up and put new sidewalks in places.
And they still want.
Still walk the road.
Well, I don't think you're gonna get to cleaning everything up. In the first year, you're just gonna kind of start making a dent in it.
And with a budget of 1,000, you're not gonna get very far, so pick a street.
What street, McIntyre? I don't know, or. Half of Front Street is in really good shape because it's in front of a very nice house. But then, the rest of the block would be. Yeah,
I don't know how far, does it go right down to the end?
Yeah.
The sidewalk used to anyway.
I used to go with it,
Yeah.
and I haven't been down in a while.
To the King George?
No, on
Front
Front Street. Well, approximately across from the King George, yeah. On Front Street, the sidewalk will
Oh.
run right down to there.
Oh, okay.
Used to go right down to the end, I don't
Yeah.
know now.
Oh, I don't think you can see it now, but maybe I'm wrong.
And it runs up as far as past the vacant lot. There, what is it, Edward Street?
It goes right up
Stanley? Stanley?
Spencer Lane.
It goes all the way to Spencer. No, I don't.
No, it goes to Stanley anyway.
Yeah,
Well, the
It did used
property,
to go right down past there a ways. but
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what I
know what's
thought.
there now. I never walked, so. Not that way.
all right, do we need to do any?
So. What's the direction? So
Like where are we taking it? We've approved the budget, so where we find this is coming out of.
Do we need extra money or is it just part of the student works program?
we need the extra money, but I just want to caution, if we start unearthing things that aren't safe, we have to fix them. And do we have staff that are qualified? I'm not sure. To fix them. Maybe if it's just a small little issue, they could, but if we unearth a big problem, then we have to fix it. So. Would you like to? Would you
The
like to?
sidewalk
do-
on McIntyre Street is probably in the best shape of them all, other than being covered over with earth and grass. It would be.
So
a good place to
McIntyre
start.
and Smith would be MTOs, that would be their infrastructure. So they should technically,
Well, we know they're not gonna clean
Keeping-
the sidewalks.
It doesn't look like they put them in either, because they're different, like it's asphalt on Smith and then. It's regular, do you wanna, do some more research or do some research and see where? So you would just like us to direct you to do a little bit of
So we
research?
asked MTO for a subsidy to do that.
That's
I think
fine.
that we'd like to clean up the town.
sure.
And it could also, you could direct the town supervisor just to even check them out too.
so I'm researching costs, I'm researching programs, a plan, what am I researching?
Liability and, yeah, basically the municipality's responsibility. Cause I kind of think if you have a partially covered sidewalk, you can still get in trouble with that too, right?
Well,
So maybe there are areas we should be,
Is it our sidewalk or is it MTO?
well, I was looking at Front Street today and it's partially covered, like you can tell there's a sidewalk,
Front is ours.
yeah.
That's Smith Street and McIntyre. Is it ours or is it MTO?
I spoke with them too, they were both under the understanding that it's theirs. But they have said. Maybe we shouldn't. It has been mentioned by an employee that if we make them fix it, they're gonna rip it. So,
We don't want that.
we don't want.
We don't want them to rip it out, but if they're not gonna fix it, are they going to allow us to fix it or? You know. There's no point in having sidewalks if no one can use
And
it.
perhaps the public works superintendent should do a report on. their
Feasibility or-
Feasibility to repair.
Yeah, yeah. I just thought,
Something as simple, like,
no, I also I thought it was something that if we worked a little bit on, you don't have to do all of it in one year. You just kind of keep doing a little bit at a time, especially if we have students, right? Barbara might not wanna second this. No, you don't care. Okay, moved by Counselor Austin, seconded by Counselor McVeigh, whereas council has received the notice of motion from Mayor Maisy for council to consider moving forward with researching, unearthing, fixing sidewalks with a small $1,000 budget. And be it resolved that, do you want that part removed? Because I don't think we're thinking we're committing $1,000 at this point. Okay. So. And be it resolved that council directs the CAO to complete some researching liability responsibility for partially covered sidewalks, and further that the municipal superintendent prepare a report of the feasibility of the project and repairs. All in favor? That's carried. You guys are bad motioners today. I'm doing it at different times. Okay, litter signs on Sand Bay. This is really quick, honestly. A resident called me. They had done cleanup out on Sand Bay and they picked up 20 bags of garbage. And they said there's a litter sign at the beginning. They just asked for another litter sign further back on Sand Bay. I don't know. Oh, I don't think we have litter signs sitting around anywhere that we could just put up. So we would have to order them, have them installed. What are your feelings?
It's so sad. Even from on Nagy Road, from the trailer park out to the front, we're constantly picking up garbage. It's like, it's everybody's backyard and there's always garbage there.
After reading this motion, I made some phone calls to some residents out there to see how bad it was. 'Cause I didn't think it was bad. And it was funny that two of the three people I spoke to all said it's kind of sad. But that's their way to camp or their way to home, and that's who's doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's where they're going. There's nowhere else to go when you go out there. So either go to your house or your camp and you're throwing your food bags in, or your beer bottles or your pop bottles or your pop cans on your way to, but we have the same problem if we're ordering litter signs. We might as well put them up. When you leave town, you drive Old Narren Road. We've got a local family that picks up 2 garbage bags every day. They come back with 2 grocery bags every day. Doesn't matter how much they pick up, they pick up 2 grocery bags every day. And
There's no signs there.
there's no signs there, but that's not, is that our road? That's our road too, and it's maybe, and I'm not picking on the local business or whatever, but maybe it's employees going that way. It's not residents, but still, that Sand Bay Road, that is residents.
I mean,
You look
I
at-
think the
is it
big
Going to
question.
yours, going to Nagy Road, that's residents in the camp,
Well,
right?
in fact, somebody I know, picked up the garbage, actually went through it, went to the trailer park and said, this is one of your people. Let's go talk to them.
Yeah.
And they went to talk to them and they said, next time if we find something in there, there's gonna be more people involved. And they were upset that they were caught.
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah, you're caught, well, that's what the world's come to.
There's been less.
So, but on another note, I know that's a cost, but like, isn't this just a public works job? Like, why are we micromanaging our public works guy to do this? If, I guess if it's brought up now, why can't our CEO just say to our public works guy, hey, can you take care of this, or can you look at this? I just think it's micromanaging everything they're doing, like, from a different standpoint, right?
You, just by putting up the sign?
No, just asking him to do, just getting him to do. Do we have to make a motion? Do we have to get them to do it? Like, the CEO can just talk to her employee and get it done.
Yeah, I don't know that litter signs actually stop people that are going to litter.
No.
I mean.
Speed signs don't make people slow down.
No.
Or stop signs.
I mean, so we could just decide that, I mean, it's fine. When I don't know, how do you get people to stop littering? I guess catching them. I mean, if we do get bags of garbage with people's,
What about
Names.
the same idea that seems to have worked? CEO Ketchabah has done the mail outs for some stuff. Would that not be the same idea, or does that
we actually have.
create
one-
flyers that
No.
we can throw out?
Well, good point.
We actually have one going out this week. So we had that series of PSAs.
Yep.
So the third one is, don't litter, keep your. So it's a good time to put it out that we're talking about this. We're just, like I said, trying not to spam everyone like every day.
Yeah, no, but
So-
it's,
But
maybe that's an easy, I don't know what a sign's worth either, like.
it's probably harder to install than it is to. If that's what council wants, we'll absolutely order a sign and install it. Any idea what the cost might be? It would probably be the sign itself, probably around $150, and then the post. Probably another 50, so about 200.
I don't, believe one sign is gonna do anything. Help it. I think we just mentioned we have a worse problem on Old Man Road than we do at Sand Bay.
And to be fair to Public Works, we do get, big amounts of garbage, like
Yeah.
thrown in one spot along that road, because it's secluded. And the Public Works, have gone through it, located the person, and the police have gone to do a littering ticket. I mean, it works, but we have to catch them, you know? And then there was a whole trailer was thrown, and we found the registration. And unfortunately, the police wouldn't do it. So we had to pay to remove it.
So on the sign thing, I don't know. And is it a littering sign? 'Cause I've just seen on Marketplace, somebody selling like 4 aluminum signs for like $40. I'll buy them and donate them if I can find them.
They're still gonna litter anyway.
Oh, yeah, yes, that's right.
You can put all the signs you want there.
Very
Okay,
unfortunate.
so I'm sensing no to the sign. Okay. So next we have, closed session, unless you would like to move to go to our question period. Is that something you might want to do?
Go to question period.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our resident doesn't have to wait. Gotta get my rules.
Yeah, I've been skipping.
It's been a long meeting. They're getting their money's worth out of me.
Well, I don't
Well,
know.
Melanie was told that I should come in tonight.
What's that?
Calvin was told I should come in tonight, but I'm allowed to present something different, like not what you're discussing, or.
You can ask a question about anything. I'll read the rules, just so you know. You have 3 minutes. If you let the clerk know before the meeting, we can only talk about the one issue once a year. You direct your comments to the chair. You don't name anyone. And we hear your concerns, but we don't give an answer to you tonight. If anyone on council feels that we should discuss it, then they bring forward a motion for next meeting.
I just wondered, because I saw a thing here, there was a thing for, so, correspondences. Would we be better to correspond with the town office to have that go in there, or is it better like this?
You know, I think it's good to do this because then you're in front of us with all 5 of us here, but you also can send a letter. And then we can discuss it that way as well. But I think it's still the rule that we deal with the same issue once a year. You know, so if someone has an issue with snow plowing, we don't want to hear the same snow plowing thing. I mean, that's, anyway, we're not gonna talk about it.
Well, this is what I presented this.
Yes.
I'm sure you've heard a lot about it. This is a little different though from last year,
Yeah.
but, it has to do.
Hang on, sorry, we have to, just hang on, so we have to move into move the question period in the closed session. So moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that the question period portion of the agenda be moved ahead of the closed session. All in favor? That's carried. So we're just changing the schedule, so
no
you don't
problem.
have to wait. Okay,
Okay, basically, it's about the fact of business in a residential area. No names. But, the complaint is that the work that they're doing, a number of times, they've been welding outside. And there's been no barriers put up. So like Calvin said, like, cause he's a former mechanic, a retired mechanic, he said flash can happen if the kid's going by on a bike or something, or even sparks when the wind and so forth, and they're not putting barriers up, they're doing outside welding. The building's here and they're welding outside, and you can see the flashes. We've got a small one. I've got a small video here the other day. That's the welding doing, they've done bigger welds than that before. They've done bigger jobs than that, but you know, if the wind comes up, it can fly. You gotta- Basically, the camera is what it captures the flash. But you can see. They're welding outside, they're not welding in the shop. In where it's protected, and they haven't put any kind of metal barrier or fireproof barrier up. And I even looked it up on where is that? Welding repairs are allowed outside in residential areas, but there are considerations, protective measures such as fire separation, heat shields, and proper ventilation followed during welding repairs.
And can I ask what you're calling from? Just for.
I just Googled it and it
Okay.
basically popped it up. I think it has to do something to do with the Ontario Building Code and so
Okay.
forth, not that they're building, they're just repairing.
Okay.
So that is, that's the main thing he was wondering about. And the other thing is with the trucks coming off of their property's not paved. It's gravelled, and they're bringing a lot of sand onto our paved road, which they're done a lot of damage to since the new pavement went in a few years ago. And should they not be responsible for cleaning up the sand and on the roads so that they're not throwing all this dust around? Because we clean something and you wouldn't know it, because the next day it's one dustbin again. Because they're bringing it back onto the road again. So
Okay.
that's the two things. two
So
complaints we
dust
had.
and welding.
Yeah. The other
Outdoor.
issues were basically covered, even though there's still a lot of traffic, at least it's not before real early in the morning and so forth, but those are the two issues.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. And yeah, there are a few people that weld in town, so it might be good to have some protections in place, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, he understood it was a bylaw thing. That's what he was told in the past, but then the bylaw officer, when he spoke to him today, said, oh, no, that's not me. Well.
Oh.
He said.
it could be that our bylaw isn't specific enough.
Mhm.
I don't know,
Mhm. Yeah, I
we
don't
will
know.
have to look at it. And,
But even with fires, people have to worry about sparks and so forth. So you'd think with welding, they should know that, and they should have been trained with that.
yeah,
So anyway, that's what I wanted to present.
no, that's great. Thank
Okay,
you so
all right.
much.
All right, now
Thank
let's
you.
get to your private business.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
That way you'll be able to read soon.
Maybe. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that council move into closed session at 8:31 PM for the purpose stated in section 239.2 of the Municipal Act. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees. All in favor? That's carried.
Really?
Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin, be it resolved that council return to the open meeting at 9:09 PM and report on the general discussions held in closed session. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees, all in favor. Carried, good voting. Clear, concise. Moved by Counselor Austin, second by Counselor McVeigh, be it resolved that being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the township of Narren Hyman be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed in open council and its number shall be 2025-21. All in favor? Excellent, that's carried. Moved by Counselor McVeigh, seconded by Counselor Austin. Be it resolved that the meeting of June 2nd, 2025 do now adjourn at 9:10 PM. To meet again on the 14th day of July or at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Carried.